Hey everybody, it's Jody. This is not a full episode of the podcast of Knowledgeable Provider, but just a little update for you. I just submitted my Neff Madness 2026 brackets. Usually I make a whole big deal out of doing several podcast episodes throughout Neff Madness, but since I'm on my literary hiatus this year, I decided not to do all that. And more or less, it seems like nobody really cares anyway, so it's probably just as well. But if you'd like to see my actual brackets, you can check out the Knowledgeable Provider Facebook page. I just posted those two a few minutes ago. Usually I do one bracket with my brain and the other one is a quick pick where you just click a button and it becomes randomly filled out just to see if I do better than random chance. And I always have, by the way. But this year I decided I would use my brain for both brackets. And they're pretty much the same except for different champions. So hopefully I'll do better than last year. I think this is the third time I've participated. And the first year I did surprisingly well. Last year, not so much. So I'm hoping to see better results this year. If you've never participated, I encourage you to give it a shot. It's a very cool way to get some CME credit, but also to learn about the latest and greatest in the nephrology field. Frankly, a lot of it is not super applicable to my daily clinical practice, but I think it's always good to learn new things. And you never know when something might be relevant. I feel like anytime I do any kind of CME activity, always very soon there's some situation that pops up and I get to go, hey, I just learned about that. And if you don't want to put your name out there and compete, you can still read the articles and get the CME credit, I believe. They accept bracket submissions until March 31st. I believe it's 3 p.m. Eastern Time on March 31st. You could conceivably read through the articles in one day. It's not really that dense of an activity. There's also a podcast crawl. Each region has a particular podcast episode that they discuss that region on. I need to do a research study and see if the picks that the podcast hosts make are generally the ones that win or not. I've never delved that deeply into it. Anyway, it's a whole cool thing. I'll put a link in the show notes to the Neff Madness information on the AJKD blog. If you do submit a bracket, I'd love to hear about it. Maybe we could talk about it on a future episode if you want to chat about why we selected what we did. On the literary front, the book is done. My novel, Creek Serenade, the paperback and ebook versions are available now at a bunch of different retailers. I have made the final updates to those, so if you were waiting to purchase those, you can go ahead and buy them now. The audiobook has been submitted. It goes through a QA verification process, I guess, to make sure that there's no prohibited content and to make sure that everything meets their technical specifications. So far, that has taken 7 days. I submitted it a week ago, and I'm still just waiting, so hopefully this coming week, I will hear something back from that, and it will be out there. I think it takes a little while longer after that, assuming I didn't screw anything up, to start being distributed. The audiobook ended up being 11 and a half hours long, so if you are somebody who listens to this podcast because you love the sound of my voice, there's an opportunity to hear a lot of it. That was an enjoyable process, but man, it was a lot harder and a lot more tedious than I anticipated. Conservatively, I'm going to say I spent about 90 hours of my life working on that between recording it and editing it. Altogether, it was 7 months. I looked back the other day from the day I created the Google document that I started writing in to the day I submitted the completed audiobook was right at 7 months. I feel like that's pretty decent for somebody who's never written a novel like this before. And it's a long book, too. It's 125,000 words. The print version is right at 400 pages, so not a short book that I wrote. I think I'll probably keep writing. I enjoyed the whole process, and it's very, very neat to see something that you created out there like that. Of course, I've been doing that with this podcast for a while, but now to be able to get on Amazon or wherever and order a book that I wrote and hold it in my hands is a very freaking cool experience. And I think I'll write at least one and maybe two more books as sequels to the one I just finished. So if you happen to really like the first book, stay tuned. There'll probably be one or two more in the coming years. I'll put links to the paperback and ebook versions of the book on Amazon in the show notes. As soon as the audiobook is available, I'm going to do a whole big release thing. I'll have an actual podcast episode about it, and I will put some promotional videos up on all of my social media and YouTube channels. We'll really put it out there, and hopefully some folks will buy it and enjoy it. That would be great. And after that, it'll be back to podcasting as usual. So thank you for your continued support. Go check out Neff Madness. Go check out my book, Creek Serenade. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you later.